Welcome, the Dairy Manufacturer's Guide. This presentation will require at least an hour of your time. Use the pause and play icon at the bottom center of your screen to pause on pages to your own timing and use the slider to skip pages. How to achieve operational excellence in dairy manufacturing. Many of you will have the necessary leadership skills and will be running very successful operations. What this presentation does is introduce you to the benefits of quiet leadership and to summarize those skills to the whole of the team to help give a consistency of approach across the business. The Dairy Manufacturer's Guide has been prepared by John Watson of Watson Dairy Consulting, established in 1998 in the UK. John Watson is regarded as an expert in his field. He has over 40 years dairy industry experience and has built and managed world-class teams. John continues to design benchmark dairy factories across the globe. He has successfully led manufacturing teams in designing and implementing ISO 22000 systems for producing high-volume dairy products, including the stringent requirements of infant formula milk powder production. John helps manufacturers to comply with increasingly stringent requirements and giving directors, staff and their shareholders peace of mind. Section 1. Total Quality Management, covering people skills, leadership, training, business improvement programs, team building, communication, and personal branding. Sections 2 to 12 cover the quality system structure, implementation structure, documentation strategy, why control documents, what must be controlled, outline of the quality documentation system, document control methods, setting up the quality control document system, where to keep your documents, deciding on a document code, and a sample code. This guide will assist you in establishing world-class quality for all dairy products, including infant formula baby milk. Who will benefit from this Dairy Manufacturer's Guide? The guide is primarily aimed at new dairy manufacturers wishing to rapidly establish their quality systems. Established dairy manufacturers may also benefit from a review. Learning outcomes. Understand the importance of establishing a team culture of trust and quality. Learn how to operate using benchmark world-class performance. How to use key management practices to significantly increase profitability. Understand the importance of design, operation, review, implementation, and management of a robust food quality and safety management system for a dairy factory. Learn about the essential features of a world-class dairy operation and FQSMS. Understand the pitfalls to avoid during the design, implementation, and ongoing development of your dairy quality systems. Help you manage brand security. Dairy factory is made up of a number of departments, starting with the board of directors, moving on to the enterprise resource and planning, where all data is collated, planning and operations, where all production is organized, materials and logistics, inputs and outputs to the plant, laboratory, samples and testing, quality control and quality assurance, HR, training, compliance and legal, covering staff and retention, finance, budgets and costs, sales and marketing, volumes, information technology, operational efficiency, operational utilization, engineering, utilities, projects and safety, service and uptime, resulting in profit, growth, good ethics, and good social media, giving an increasing share price. A food quality and safety management system does not guarantee good quality. It is a complete business management plan to guarantee the integrity of your data. An FQSMS guarantees that you will produce what you say you're going to produce. That is, if you specify that you will produce 50% out of specification product, then you can achieve the requirements of your quality system with 50% rejects. In the event of a major incident, for example, loss of life, major food poisoning scare, etc., the organization must demonstrate that it has exercised all due diligence and that all reasonable action was taken to keep staff, others and their property safe. A robust FQSMS will ensure that the required all due diligence defence is addressed. A dairy production FQSMS system must encompass the whole of the dairy business. Nothing and nobody should escape being documented and measured. The secret of building a robust dairy quality control system is to identify critical parameters and specify only what is required and readily achievable. Do not over-specify. For example, do not build a specification stating that your product will be temperature tested every 5 minutes of every production run if it is not a process requirement. If you do not need to record the temperature at all, then do not specify it as a requirement. If it is a critical process requirement every hour, then specify this and not something greater. Avoid overcomplicating the process by over-specifying. Recording non-essential data takes focus away from critical data. Specify what you mean 100%, not 99.9%. The task must be carried out 100% of the time with zero emissions. A good system should be user-friendly, be succinct, consider cost implications of time, balance discipline and structure with flexibility, have properly trained staff to implement it 100% of the time, focus on results and practicality, and add bottom line value. A good system should not over-demand, encourage compromise, have unnecessary and excessive documentation, be over-designed. Less is more. The number of documented procedures required depends upon the organization's size, type of activities, and operational needs, and needs to add bottom line value. Do not assume that because you've achieved ISO 22000 or British Retail Consortium or other accreditation that your FQSMS is perfect. There may be hidden dangers in your system which can affect the degree of success of the organization, which will likely stem from either the over or under designing of your FQSMS procedures. Total quality management. An FQSMS does not address some of the issues which are the focus of TQM training. TQM's objectives are to eliminate waste and increase efficiencies by ensuring a skilled management framework is established to get production right first time. TQM requirements are identify and prioritize training for staff. Staff must commit to continuously developing and improving the organization's performance. The organization defines their processes, continuously monitors and measures performance, and uses that performance data and business improvement programs to add value. All employees in all departments are part of this process. Ask yourself, what is the difference between two identical organizations, all having the same facilities and resources, but one performs better than the other? The answer has to be the people. TQM sequencing, producing world-class quality. Plan, do, check, and act. Plan the strategy, targets and goals, training and timeframes. Do, implement the plan. Check, review the status of the plan and identify any shortcomings. Act, implement changes identified. People make the difference. If FQSMS is the engine that runs your dairy quality system, then TQM is the fuel that the engine runs on. You must keep the fuel, staff training, topped up and keep your engine FQSMS tuned, updated. People make the difference. Invest in their training and personal development. Consider benchmark training gives benchmark results. Key training areas: leadership, supervisory and management skills, team building and building trust, communication, getting things done, business improvement programs, Six Sigma, Kaizen, Lean, and many others, personal development, personal branding, and others. Good training equals increased profit plus a return on your investment. Leadership. A lack of understanding by leaders and managers of the importance of the design and continuous development of the FQSMS gives organizations a higher risk of major incidents. Leadership has many styles, and businesses may benefit from a variety of styles at different stages of their development. This guide focuses on the long-term benefits of quiet leaders, leaders who develop their teams through establishing trust. When a new leader takes over an organization, then after a 3-month getting to know period, it is reasonable to assume that he or she accepts the FQSMS warts and all and takes full responsibility for it and its 100% implementation, or doesn't accept it and instigates changes. In order to be a successful leader, trust must be developed in every team member, from the floor cleaner to the managing director. Trust is a fundamental leadership skill. Why do we bother with trust? Your decisions are accepted more easily by others. It saves time and money for the organization. If others lose trust in you, then it is very difficult to regain that trust. How do you build trust? Be consistent. Give credit where it is due and really listen personally to team members' inputs with empathy. Be willing to admit your mistakes if you are to expect your team to admit their mistakes. Talk up to team members' ideas and encourage continual brainstorming. Good employees lead poor leaders. Bad employees lead good leaders. Act with integrity. Your subordinates must believe that you will abide by the highest ethical standards of consistency, fairness, and justice. Integrity appears over and over as the most important leadership quality. People can only put their whole hearts into their work when they feel secure, and they can only feel secure when they can relax and trust you completely. A confidence building example. Come to me with solutions. A manager comes to you with a problem. How should you react? For example, he says, Ralph, the senior operator, has threatened to leave unless we give him a pay rise. Do you ask the manager why the operator wants a pay rise, or do you prompt the manager to make the decision? For example, you could say, do you think he deserves a pay rise? What's your view? How would you feel if he left? Can you manage without him? A suggested response could be, we will support you and go with your decision, subject to following HR rules, pay scales, procedures, etc. Have a think about this and come back to me with your decision. It would be easy for you to say, let him go, or give him what he wants. But returning responsibility will build the manager's confidence and first-hand experience. This will strengthen their skills and reduce the future burden on you. Lead by example. Do what is right for the other person. This fosters trust, which eases the path for a leader. Job satisfaction significantly increases productivity and adds to the bottom line. There is significant cost to replacing well-trained staff, which should encourage the best organizations to engage with and really care for their employees' well-being and development. You should treat others well, not because of who they are, but because of who you are. When a leader's job is done well, then everybody in the team thinks they've done it themselves. Dairy training. Grow your leaders from the bottom up. Promote them, train them, build their confidence. Business improvement programs are programs to assist your team in building your food quality safety management system. Examples are HACCP, Hazard Analysis Critical Control Points. A HACCP system requires that potential hazards are identified and controlled at specific points in the process. This includes biological, chemical, or physical hazards. All companies involved in the manufacturing, processing, or handling of food products use HACCP to minimize or eliminate food safety hazards in their product. All food quality management systems embody HACCP and the principles of Codex Alimentarius. Six Sigma. The Sigma level indicates the extent to which the organization complies towards having a defect-free process. Achieving a Six Sigma level literally means that you make a mistake only 3.4 times out of a million. That is, out of a million invoices, you only have to send 3 credit invoices. A business must continually improve to maintain market share, not wait until they lose their position and then react to gain it back. Kaizen, continuous improvement. To continually improve your product. Kaizen goes hand in hand with Six Sigma. Lean, just in time, safety, Muda, Mura, Muri, OE, OU, and many other programs to help you hone your organization's performance. In-house programs, for example, the 5P program, people, plant, product, policies and procedures, the 5S, etc. Benchmarking, understand how far you have to go and what the payback will be. For example, what is your current wasted value and how do you compare with similar manufacturers of a similar size? Team building. Why is team building so important to a food quality safety management system? Quality improvement is best performed by teams and its aim is to continuously find better, simpler, more secure and cost-effective ways of making or doing things. Why teams? Teams have access to knowledge, skills, experience and perspectives of different individuals to make lasting improvements. Teams are most appropriate when your process or system under study is complex, when no one person in your operation knows all the dimensions of an issue, when your process involves more than one discipline or work area, when your solution requires creativity, or when you need your employees' commitment and buy-in. In other words, a team effort will help you make significant lasting improvements as the people designing the procedures will also be managing them. Remember, develop and maintain trust first and last. Team building. Individual behaviors to look out for and discourage. Individuals blaming others for mistakes. Individuals competing for their own interests. Negative behavior. One team player not pulling their weight. Disruptive team players. This is damaging negative behavior which needs to be nipped in the bud, as it can become contagious, counterproductive, and damages the atmosphere of trust, which is essential for a team to perform in sync. Working in a blame culture stops people from making decisions for fear of consequences and significantly reduces performance whilst making the workplace a miserable, threatening place to be. Speak openly and, if necessary or possible, relocate them to an area where they can perform to their optimum. Ignoring poor performance is like allowing a disease to spread. A leader must be seen to be fair and consistent and to strengthen trust. Instead, encourage positivity, good communications, and praise. to help build a positive and fair environment. Communication. Why is communication so important to your food quality safety management system? At the heart of your system, communication helps establish an open, trust culture that encourages interaction and information flow to all. The challenges: instant communication through social media, multilingual workforces, virality is rapid, getting it wrong can be toxic to a brand and it can be fatal to a business. It can even affect a whole country's reputation. Daily communications meetings. Communicate from the top down. Daily happenings, good and bad news. Encourage two-way communication from the bottom up. Formal communication must take place at least daily. Communicate verbally with full team involvement. Back up with minutes and visuals to show performance over time against targets. Every team member must speak at every meeting, however brief. Substitutes must be nominated for those absent from a meeting. Discipline. Meetings commence on time. Distribute minutes daily, even if handwritten, at the meeting. Minutes should be brief, clear, and quickly disseminated. How long and how often? No more than 30 minutes, and at least daily is critical, usually first thing in the morning. Where? As close to the place of work or operation as possible. Content. Each team member should cover the good as well as the bad for their particular department. Everyone must speak, even if it is to say there is nothing to report. Team leaders should give an update on any visitors due that day and any other relevant business issues. Personal branding. What is personal branding? The process of creating a recognizable professional name and reputation for yourself. What does your brand portray? Does it consistently reflect who you are and how you like to get things done? Does it reflect your personal values? Do you build trusting relationships with all the people you interact with? Does your brand reliably portray your brand values? An analogy. Joe Bloggs is arranging a dinner party for about 20 guests, and he's looking for a good quality, reliable coffee. He looks along the rows and rows of various brands on the supermarket shelves. Which one does he choose? He wants it to be a nice coffee, reliable, and at a reasonable cost. He does not look on the top shelf where all the expensive, relatively unknown brands are. He does not look on the bottom shelf where all the cheaper own label products are. Own label tends to have a name for cheap and cheerful, but also unreliable. He looks at the middle shelf where he knows he will find a good, reliable, reasonable cost brand. For example, Nescafe. Similar can be applied when looking for staff for projects or promotion, and in many other scenarios in life. Consider which supermarket shelf you're going to be placed on. What brand image do you consistently portray to colleagues? Where are you positioned on the supermarket shelf? The quality system structure is a pyramid structure. At the top is the quality manual, which describes the overall system and states the general policies and distribution of authority. Signatories. Next, the operating procedures define in general terms how the interdepartmental cross-functional flow of work is controlled. The next level, work instructions, define specifically how work is performed step by step within an individual department. The lower level is where forms, specifications, drawings, reference documents, inspection, test reports, and any other data, including visual aids, are stored and maintained. Implementation structure. Good communication skills amongst all team members are essential. Step 1. Appoint a steering committee. Select team leaders and allocate areas of responsibility and prepare a project plan. 2. Appoint a project team. Select team members from each division of the company. 3. Appoint members with experience as expert. Select subject matter experts. Documentation strategy. What's all the fuss about? Documentation is the basis on which your FQSMS is built. Documentation is what your registration audit is based upon. Why control documents? The ISO quality management standards specify all documents relating to the product and its marketing, design, manufacturing, and maintenance must be captured, controlled, and properly distributed. Personnel must have access to the latest version of a document, and the document itself must reflect a true state of affairs. Any changes to the quality system must be promptly documented, and these changes must be efficiently registered, approved, distributed, and implemented. All obsolete documents must be promptly removed from the workplace or be identified as such to prevent inadvertent use. What must be controlled? Controlled documents should include, but are not limited to, the quality manual, work instructions for the operation of the plant and equipment, including inspection, testing, and auditing, procedures, purchasing, recruiting, safety, customer complaints, plant maintenance, forms, goods receipt, dispatch forms, audit forms, specifications, finished goods, raw materials and packaging, drawings, process and building drawings, additional information such as visual aids, maintenance manuals, etc. Outline of the document control system. Terminology. Procedure. Procedure describes the process with a fixed step-by-step sequence of activities or course of action that must be followed in the same order. Work instructions. A work instruction contains more detail than a procedure and is only created if detailed step-by-step instructions are needed. Attachment. Information attached to the procedure, instruction, form, etc. for clarification. Determine what to control. ISO 22000 clause 4.2.4 demands that an organization must implement a documented procedure to define the controls needed for identification, storage, protection, retrieval, retention, and disposition of records, and that those records must remain legible and identifiable throughout their retention period. This is because records are an important organizational asset. They provide the primary route for evidence-based verification and traceability, and are able to demonstrate compliance with customer requirements. Records also prove the efficacy of the quality management system. Document control methods. Setting up the document control system to be as easily manageable and as simple as possible is critical to the success of the food quality and safety management system. Decentralized. Each document generating department looks after the control of its own documents. This approach can lead to a multitude of control schemes and documents that rarely follow the same format, style, etc. Centralized. Each functional area retains control over documentation, content and storage. Document formats are standardized throughout the organization and follow a standard protocol. The centralized approach ensures a common format, style, look, etc. Setting up the quality control document system. Build effective documents. Make them consistent, clear, concise, and user-friendly. Use short sentences, starting with a command verb, easy to read and assimilate. Make it clear who is performing the task, e.g., for use by the plant operator. Have the right amount of documentation. Avoid too much overlap and repetition. Include process flow diagrams and decision trees where appropriate. Avoid too little, but equally avoid too much. The aim is to achieve consistency for all processes. Following a theme makes it easier to learn. Decide if a document or procedure is required. Ask yourself, if 2 trained employees were to perform this task, would they do it the same way? If the answer is maybe not, then a work instruction or procedure is appropriate. Avoid work instructions written for virtually everything. Determine where to keep your documents. Planning the infrastructure. Use the ISO or BRC or equivalent standards and specifications. Prepare a blueprint for the system. Design your document control coding system. You might use an existing database program or a packaged document control software, or you may use a spreadsheet format. What will be best for your company? Consider the following when deciding on an FQSMS. Company size. The larger the organization, the more justification for a software solution. Computer setup and availability. Do all departments have access to a computer or central server? The number of different processes performed. If a vast range, then consider a software solution. Frequency of change of your processes or documents. Consider carefully the pros and cons. You may need more than one system, e.g. if documents are different enough, it may be best to have 2 distinct systems. For example, one for quality system documents and one for engineering and maintenance documents. Deciding on a coding protocol. What do we need in a document code? Firstly, we need to identify the company. M could be for Microsoft. Next is which manual the document belongs to. This one refers to QM, the quality manual. It could be the production manual, PM, or laboratory manual, LM. Next is the area or department. It could be administration. It could be laboratory. It could be evaporator. It could be separator. Next is the document type. W is for work instruction, or it could be F for form, P for procedure. Next is the document reference number, 3 digits, followed by the revision, and then followed by any remarks or references. Examples of document abbreviations. Design a document coding system covering the whole of the organization. Some examples in the table below. Procedure P, work instruction W, and so on. Some examples of department abbreviations. Department could be QA, milk reception lab, physiochemical lab, microbiology lab, which would all come under quality. So the area would commence with a Q, for example. If it was to do with production, you would probably nominate a P, or if it was administration, an A, and so on. Then the individual departments, such as milk reception lab, would be given a number. Milk reception lab Q02, production management P01, and so on. Example of a document control spreadsheet. Once the code is agreed, then design the spreadsheet with a list of the documents and procedures you need to build for each department using the agreed coding system. Allocate the appropriate list to each head of department and task their team to design and supply the procedures, forms, documents. Once the document is final, then hyperlink from the spreadsheet to the document, making it easy to find and control. Document control. Designing a coding system. J, the first digit below, identifies the document as a JWC Services Limited company document. If JWC Services Limited had subsidiaries, you might want to use a different letter at the beginning, allowing you to use the same system but keeping documents segregated. The T and P, the second and third digits, identify which of 5 quality manuals the document belongs to. This one is the Technology and Production Manual, TP. The fourth and fifth digits, 05, identifies which area the document belongs to, and this is 05, the evaporator. The sixth digit identifies the type of document, for example, form, test, work instruction. The 7th, 8th and 9th digits identify the standard operating procedure number. The 10th digit identifies the revision number or letter of the document. This one is A. The 11th digit identifies references or associated documents. That brings us to the end of this presentation. I hope you found the content interesting. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for listening. We'd appreciate any feedback from you, good or bad. You're also invited to sign up to our new recruiting service, Dairy Jobs.